In this video, we're going to get into shading. So I'm going to go ahead and start from what I had beforehand to a fresh project, and we're going to talk about, well, shading. Not much more to it. So for what is really shading? So if you notice, when you right click on an object in Blender, you get the option to shade smooth or shade flat. And generally when you shade smooth on something like this or a cylinder, you get these, it just looks terrible. Now you always have the option to come over here to object data properties, go to normals and check auto smooth, and that fixes it. But there's other ways to do it, and you can control what parts get shaded smooth and what have hard edges. So for this example, I'm going to actually use a cylinder for it. The cylinder, I'm just going to go ahead and add in some loop cuts. Actually better yet, I'll just, whoops, work from the top. So we have that guy, we extrude up, scale it out a decent bit, scale up again, extrude in, go up, scale down. Same thing, and scale down. All right, so we have our object here. I'm going to go ahead and shade it smooth. As you can tell, it looks pretty bad. If I enable auto smooth, that looks a lot better. But what if, for example, let's say I wanted this to be smooth and this to be smooth. So I want this and these curves to be smooth. What I can do is I can just crank up the auto smooth, so that filled in the top portion. Keep going, and that fills it in here. But what if, for example, these, why is that selected? These were much harsher. So I have to keep cranking up auto smooth. Well, this area that I wanted to stay hard is now smooth, but the area I wanted smooth is still hard. So I crank it up even higher until it finally goes. So about 70 degrees, this becomes smooth. Well, you have the option, if you go into edge mode or edge select mode, you can right click and mark sharp. And that's what's going to solve this. So if I select that loop and this loop and mark them sharp, they are now shaded sharp. Let's say later on I decide, this looks pretty bad up here, right here, being smooth. I can go ahead and select it and just mark it as sharp. Problem solved. Same thing, I can just go all the way through, mark the remaining parts that I want as sharp, and they overall look a lot nicer that way because it keeps everything else nice and smooth with the shading. And the other areas here, you can clear the sharp to make it a smooth bowl again, and that kind of thing. Or what it is to fill. Not a grid fill. The holes? No. I'm just going to go ahead and do a quick little, can't remember what it is, but I want to place this in the center of the world. Loop, select that, select this guy. I just realized the Z-axis on that thing is messed up, so leave the Z, select that as the last, and just merge them at last. So now it's all in the center. So it's completely hollow, not hollow, but it's got a completely smooth shade all the way around and through it. And it looks quite nice. Allows us to do kind of whatever we want. And if we needed to, just go right back. Again, it won't let you select it unless you're in edge select. We can mark these back as smooth again. Gives an ugly appearance, but that's how you can kind of control the shading. So, for example, you would almost always want this, for example, to be marked as smooth, or sorry, as sharp, because if you had it go down and then cave a little bit, You could have that, or you could just edge loop, mark it as sharp, and just kind of do whatever you want. Anyways, I'm just repeating myself at this point. But that takes care of our shading portion. So that is one more little topic out of the way. Next up, we're actually going to cover the origin point, not the skeleton scale. So I will see you when we get to that. So if you would want to learn how to make an HK416 in Blender, there is a playlist linked in the description. It is not mine, but he goes through it step by step, and it's a pretty good video or series for it. And as always, if you like what I'm doing and you want to help support me, as obviously I'm still recording close to 4 a.m. for this, you can find a link to my Patreon in the description. If you have any questions, anything like that, you can ask. My Discord's linked down there below. You can ask whatever you want game dev related. And if you do decide to check out the Patreon, there is a Team Deathmatch series that is linked and set up for patrons only, where you can make your own game mode from start to finish with over 110 videos just in there. So, as always, I will see you in the next video when we tackle the origin point. So, I will see you then.